Been a few days since I've come on here and done one of these in this series. Was tied up. I told y'all my wife was probably going to kidnap me for our anniversary, and we had a wonderful time. We stayed local and did a few things, and then it was the weekend and had a wonderful time at the meeting house yesterday, as the preacher calls it for church. And so anyhow, this is Monday, so I wanted to get a shoot in on Monday here. So we're talking about the different types of dogs and how we can relate to them. So we had several different still left in this series. We talked about the lead dog. We talked about the check dog. I think the check dog was the last dog we talked about. So today I want to talk about a dog that is really a dog that we don't want to be like in our life. But yet the world is full of them, and unfortunately a lot of kennels are full of these type of dogs. The world is full of this type of people. And what I call them is, a lot of people say, it's a good pack dog, or a Me Too dog is what I call it a lot of times. You say, well, what do you mean by pack dog or Me Too dog? Well, a pack dog is just a dog that really just goes out here and just, he'll do something if the pack's going to do something. But he's not going to be your lead dog. He's not going to take any initiative to go out here and make something happen. He's going to sit around and wait on somebody else to jump the rabbit. He's going to wait on somebody else to get the check. He's not really going to be full of energy, but when things get rolling and the excitement goes along and the rabbit's up and man, they're going, he's like, oh, me too, I'll go now. And he hasn't really done anything to earn the right to run that dog. He hasn't really tried anything. He's not been a producer, but he's going to go along because, we've got something going on now. Let me be part of it. And unfortunately, that's the way a lot of churches, that's the way a lot of so-called Christians and everything. You go to the average church and it's said that 15% of the people do 85% of the work. And that's unfortunate, but it's true. And if you've got a pack of dogs and one question people ask me, they'll say, David, how many dogs do I need to have in a pack? And there is no right or wrong answer to that question. More appropriate answer to that question is, it depends on how many real rabbit dogs you have. Because if you've got 2 rabbit dogs and you've got 8 pack dogs or Me Too dogs that are only doing something after those 2 get the rabbit up, you do just as well with just those 2 dogs. Now you got a whole lot of racket going on when you've got 8 to 10 dogs out there, but who's really producing in that situation? If you've got 8 pack dogs or 8 Me Too dogs, those are just average dogs that don't really have any specialty. They just run because other dogs are running. So in life, if you're a pack dog, you're one of these people that sits around and, in the church circles. I grew up a preacher's kid, and I have seen so much of this mess. It just makes you sick. It makes you really, you don't really care too much for organized religion. I'm not saying that gives any of us a free pass not to go to church or anything like that. You need to be part of the solution and not stay away or be part of the problem. If you don't go in and help do something to straighten it out, it's just going to always be the same. But everybody's going to have to answer for that one day. You're going to have to answer for what they did. And if they're one of these Me Too dogs, they're going to have to answer for the fact, why didn't you get up and do something? Your Me Too dog is not a dog that's going to go out here and jump a rabbit. It's not a dog that's going to get a check. It's going to give up. When nothing's going on, it's going to come back and hang around. And I see guys sometimes that have packs of dogs, and they go out there and they've got 20 dogs in their kennel or 15 dogs in their kennel or whatever, and they go out here and they drop them on the ground. And once they drop them on the ground, there's 1 or 2 that go out and go to town hunting real hard, and the rest of them are kind of just hanging around, just waiting to see if something's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, when one of them strikes and it gets exciting, then they go. Or sometimes there'll be a few more that'll go. Sometimes you'll have just 1 or 2 pack dogs that are out there, And they'll sit around and wait till the 6 or 7 or 8 get to really burning one up, and then, oh, by the way, let me run in here and jump in here and run it now. And you know, the unfortunate part about this is this description fits so many people. I just about bet money that when I say this, you've got some individual or individuals that pop in your mind when I say what I'm fixing to say. How many times have you had so-called friends or fellow hunters? And so we're talking about hunting, so we'll talk about a hunting situation. You know, they haven't done one thing to help you with your dogs. They haven't offered to do anything if you needed some help. They have never said, hey, if you go on vacation, let me know, man, I'll feed your dogs for you. They are nowhere to be found until after deer season. And then they don't have something to do, but they know you have dogs. Hey, man, when we going to go rabbit hunting? Well, they don't want to help you with your dogs. You know, when it's time to load the dogs, they don't even have the common courtesy sometimes to help you pick up the dogs. They'll just, if your dog's out and hadn't come back and you're going to have to be out there looking for it because for some reason you can't get it back, hey, Charlie, man, I enjoyed the hunt. I'll see you later. And leave you with the problem like, hey, it's not my dog. I don't care. But they were there for the fun part. Here's a better one for you. How many times do they love to pull the trigger and kill a rabbit with your dogs? But then when it comes time to clean the rabbits, they kind of stand around and they're busy, or they got to leave early, or this or that. You know, I've been on several of these hunts where we had some really nice hunts. And I got up and drove hours to get to these people. And sometimes their claim to fame is we hunted till dark, and their claim to fame is they'll hold a light for you so you can clean the rabbits. Now, that's the type people that I call me too. They want to be there for the fun. They want to jump in the middle of the big picture at the end of it. You know, some of them only kill 1 rabbit or 2 rabbits or don't really have a clue, but they're going to sit there and run their mouth about what a great hunt we had. What a great bunch of rabbit hunters we are. And you just want to laugh because they no more make anything happen than a man in the moon. They're like those dogs that are Me Too dogs. And we all know people like that. You have the same thing happens. You've got people that are out here that don't own any of the dogs, didn't do any of the training to the dogs, but they want to talk to some different people, and you'd think that they were the ones that trained the dog because they got the lingo happening. They want to draw attention to themselves. See, that's the problem with a lot of people is a lot of people don't want to do the work that has to be done in the trenches, but they want to take credit when things go well. They don't do anything when things are not going on to make something happen, but when things are going well, they jump right in the middle of it. You see it in the church all the time. You know, if the pastor has an idea of something to do, they'll sit there and say, I don't think that's going to work, brother. I just don't think that's going to be a good idea. I see all kinds of problems with that, da-da-da-da-da. And then when it becomes successful, man, preacher, we sure had a good idea on that one. We. Kind of reminds me, I'm going to pick on my son a little bit here. You know, the other day he went to pick it up, but I paid for a golf cart. And he came back and he said, I can't believe we bought a golf cart. Now, I'm giving him a hard time. I know what he meant. But so many of the young kids these days, everything's we, as long as it's something to benefit. But it's you, when it comes time to pay for it, it's broke, something needs to happen in a lot of instances. And I'm just picking on my son, and he knows I'm kidding and cutting up with him. But unfortunately, there's a lot of society that's that way now. Everything is owed to them, and they want to be part of the good times, but they don't want to have to do any of the work. So a Me Too pack dog is one that is usually a lot more lazy, has no initiative, has no drive, and just sits there and goes out and just does the bare minimum, and really is not something that needs to be a part of your kennel. I really do not care anything about owning pack dogs and Me Too dogs, and I certainly do not want to be one that's known to produce Me Too or pack dogs, because you see, that's just stuff that can run a rabbit. But there's a difference in following a rabbit and really wanting and just living to run a rabbit. I want a dog that's crazy about running a rabbit. I don't want one that's going to sit there and his drive and his want to is going to be determined by whether anything is going on with the rest of the dogs. I want him to go out there and go, hey, you know what? I don't care if the rest of y'all want to hunt or not, but I'm going out here to hunt. I know my purpose in life, and I know what I was bred for. My light bulb went off as a young dog, and I know what I'm doing. And when that tailgate drops and that door opens, I'm all business. That's the kind of dogs I want. And you know, as a friend to other people, that's the kind of friend I want to be. I don't want to be one that sits around and doesn't pitch in and doesn't help out and is here basically serve me. You know, if you study the life of Christ, he didn't come down here and take on the form of man and say, hey, I'm Jesus and I'm here for you to serve me. If you study, he was here to serve. He made stuff happen. And if we're going to be like him, we need to try to make stuff happen. Most of the people that you really enjoy being around are people that make things happen. And you know, the world is not full of people like that. The world, unfortunately, is full of more pack dogs and Me Too dogs. But it's our responsibility to make sure that we're not sitting around waiting on something to happen. There's plenty of things that we can do. Don't sit around and let others determine when you jump into something. If you see something that needs to be done, jump on it. When we go back and you look, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch that lead dog video. All those characteristics of a leader. Remember, he didn't take credit. A good leader characteristic. They don't take credit, as much credit as they should, for making things happen. They take more than their share of the blame and less credit than they should for what happens. If you're a Me Too dog, you're taking way too much credit for something you had nothing to do with. The whole pack could have done just as well if you'd have stayed home. And that brings me to the biggest point of all this, of what I take out of this Me Too pack dog. If you're a Me Too pack dog, you're not making much of an influence on anybody's life. If people can say, hey, I can do just as well without that person in my life, then you got to make some changes. Once you leave this earth, you know, it's good if you leave something that people miss. I hope that when I'm dead and gone, I don't want people to cry for me or anything like that, but I hope that people say, you know what, I miss him. Not because of anything other than that guy made some things happen. That guy was trying to do some things. He wasn't just a pack dog. He wasn't just a Me Too dog. You know, if you go to a funeral, not in every instance, but if you go to a funeral and there's a lot of people there, the chances are that person wasn't just popular because they were popular. They were popular because they got a lot accomplished and they did something. Your average Me Too pack dog person, you go to their funeral, may not really be a whole lot of people there. And you say, well, David, I'm not in a position for anybody to know who I am. You don't have to be. When you drop dogs on the ground and you don't know anything about them, just watch. They all have the same opportunity. They all have the same, we all have the same opportunities in life for the most part. There's some of us that have had things give to us and maybe produced a better opportunity. But what I'm saying is we all have the same tools. We all have feet and hands, and unless you're a handicapped person. But you know what? You have the opportunity to make some things happen. So quit making excuses for not making things happen. And don't be a pack dog or a Me Too dog. Set the pace. Don't just go because others do. Get out there and run when nobody else wants to run. You get in them briars and you make it happen in life. And I hope that explains to you about a pack dog and a Me Too dog. See, not every one of these type dogs are dogs that we want to be like. You know, they say you can learn a lot about what to do from watching people. You can also learn about a lot about what not to do and what not to be. I've had people that have influenced me in a really good way, and I've had people that have shown me what not to do. And we all make mistakes, but the main thing is, don't just be an average, everyday pack dog. God has made you for a purpose. Find that purpose and jump on it and go out there and make something happen. Thank you for watching.